Should have Malachite won the fight against Alexandrite? Hello everyone, this is a Steven Universe discussion video slash theory video on Malachite versus Alexandrite. Now, since there wasn't a Steven Universe episode this week, since no one's really talking about one that I know of, so the show's on a bit of a hiatus, so no episode review this week, so sorry, I suppose, I don't know. But to fill that void, I guess I should talk about something else, and that would be something that's going off of Swaggy Thunder's video, and that was one of his most recent ones. I don't really remember the title, but it's basically like the same thing I'm talking about in this video, and that is him explaining that, like, Malachite more or less should be stronger by Alexandrite by default, and he does have some pretty great points. Go watch that video, before, after this video. His videos are never all that long, so, they're only like up to 5 minutes or so. So if you've got 5 minutes to spare, go watch that real quick. But to pretty much sum it all up, he does have great points, and I'm just going to go over them real quick, and that being, like, Lapis, of course, is a very powerful gem. Lapis alone, when she was pretty much introduced, with a cracked gem, so more or less by default she wasn't at full power, was managed to hold off the gems with water clones, just little clones of waters that were just as strong as the gems, if not stronger. It's simple as that. So more or less, like, Lapis is stronger than all three of the crystal gems. If she has water, of course. So, take that into consideration. And then if you add Jasper into the mix, you would think that, okay, so that means they should be unstoppable, basically. Even as a fusion. Even if that fusion, wasn't entirely perfect, compared to Alexandrite. I know, like, the durability or, like, stability of the fusions are, like, completely different. But it's like, it would make sense. Granted, yeah, Jasper doesn't add too much to the fusion. She adds the physical strength, which is, one thing that was kind of kicking Alexandrite's butt. And she also has the spin dash and Jasper's crash helmet, like her helmet thing. Those things, those three things, and, it's not much compared to, controlling an entire ocean, which does go into another point of that, like, Lapis, as again was introduced, she took away the entire ocean. Just Lapis. Now, the fusion, usually fusion's like, no matter what, even if it is like, not a very great, like, fusion that's, like, compatible, like the fusion that was, with Jasper and that corrupted gem. Yeah, it didn't last long, but she knew that she would be stronger for the fusion for that short amount of time. So, fusion by default just makes you stronger, more or less. So you would think that, Malachite would be able to control, like, the planet, basically, with no trouble if Lapis was able to take the entire ocean when she wasn't really even trying. So it makes the question, like, how did Malachite really lose against Alexandrite? Now, as again, pretty much during the entire fight, Alexandrite was kind of having trouble, and Malachite was kind of dominating the field. And in my opinion, if it wasn't really for the Watermelon Stevens, Alexandrite would have most likely lost that fight, and the gems would have been, separated and stuff, and most likely, poofed or even worse, shattered by Alexandrite. But, those are just scenarios right there. But, Alexandrite was just, she was caught, she was held together, and she was almost gonna get, like, crushed to death, or whatever you would call, this scene right here. And Malachite would have won. But it seems that, like, Malachite wasn't even really at full power, so you think that she would be, like, 5 times as stronger and have, like, no trouble at all. I don't know, this is, I'm just kind of rambling on this point, just something to kind of fill in for the episode review, so yeah, that's what I think. I do agree with Swaggy Thunder, and I never really did think about it. Well, I have thought about it sometimes, like, well, Malachite should be stronger than Alexandrite. It would just make perfect sense, but, I guess that's just how, the story's supposed to go. I know the crystal gems are more or less supposed to win and stuff. You're supposed to be cheering for them, but it's like, if they lost against the gem, that was pretty much hindered, and then that gem becomes like 5 times as powerful, how did, like, you know, that gem lose? It just doesn't really add up. But, you know, whatever. That's just something. It's not like a total turn off to me. It's not like, oh, this is terrible writing. I just thought it was like, that's weird. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Have any questions, comments, or concerns, or any other discussion topics you guys want me to talk about. Want to draw any fan art for the channel would be greatly appreciated. Email will be in the description below and all that stuff. Have a great day, have a great night, whatever time you're watching this, and everything else you know what to do. Bye.